about to cry right now. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I feel like it's been forever since I've actually made a video. I think it's been over like a month. I do have a couple videos, you know, saved, but I just haven't uploaded them. I just been really busy. Well, not really. I haven't really like been super busy. It's just that I haven't been able to, you know, sit down and edit them and then upload them. I just haven't been able to because I started working like in mid-March, and after that I was too tired, you know, like because I'd be working 10 hours a day, so I'd be too tired to come home and edit them and everything. Like I just don't want to. But I mean, this video I do want to upload as soon as possible because, like you saw from the title, it is about my infertility issues, and because it is the month of infertility awareness or something like that. I don't know what it's called. I think it's this week or something like that. And I want to tell you guys my story, how I've been dealing with it. As you know, I don't have any children, but I do want children. It just hasn't happened. But before I go into all that, I want to tell you guys like from the beginning so you guys can know all my journey. As you know, I am married. I've been married for 9 months now, but I've been with my husband since 2012. This Saturday we will actually make 8 years together, and you know, like, we don't have any children. I feel like another couple would have already had at least 2 children or something, but we don't have any children. We haven't, I don't want to say we've been trying since we started dating, but we did start recently trying a couple years ago. I want to say like maybe 2017, 2018. That's when we actually like started trying to have a kid. But before that, it wasn't in the plan. Like you know, we would say like, oh, like when we have kids or whatever, but it wasn't like, let's make a kid right now, you know. But like I said, we started dating back in 2012. But we didn't start being intimate right away. I want to say it was like 2 years later. I do remember it was either November or December, and it was either 2013 or 2014. I don't remember, but that's when we, you know, we started being intimate. And at the beginning, like we've never really been like careful about it. I mean, like, we weren't like using protection. I was never on birth control, which was really, really risky, you know. But, you know, at that time, I was young and dumb. I was like, whatever, he loves me, I love him, you know, like, and thank God, and I'm very blessed that, you know, we got married and, you know, whatever. But, you know, at that time, like, we just didn't care. And we did the pull-out method. But yeah, like, I was, at that time, I felt like I was so lucky that, you know, I wouldn't get pregnant. But, you know, there was a couple times that I did have, like, pregnancy scares. Because when I used to live with my family, with my parents, my periods were always regular. Like, if I got, let's say, my period on January 24th, by, like, February 20-something, I'd be on my period again. In March 20-something, I'd be on my period again. So, like, I was really regular. So, whenever, like, I was at least a week late, I would freak out. And, you know, I would always tell my man, like, hey, like, I'm late. And he'd be like, I don't think you're pregnant. And I'd be like, but what if I am? You know, like, I would be so scared. But then, like, the next few days, I'd get it. So, then I'd be like, oh, you know, I would be so relieved. But there was one time that I was super late that I actually went and bought a pregnancy test. I must have been super late because for me to buy a pregnancy test, you know, like, it must have been that late. So I bought it. It came out negative. I was so happy. And then the next day I got my period. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I freaking spent $15, you know. And I was like, man, if I had waited one more day, like, my period would have came. And, you know, like, I was just like, what the heck? And I remember telling my man, like, it came out negative and I got my period today. Like, I could have waited. And, you know, I was tripping over like $15. That you know that I was not financially ready to be a mom. But you know, like I still didn't care, and I was still dumb, and you know, didn't use I wasn't like being safe during sex, I guess you could say. We were like that for 2 years, you know. And then like fast forward to summer of 2016, that's when we decided to move in together. But before that, we had broken up. When I was just like, yes, I need a break. So we took a break, but we would still hang out and we would still mess around with each other. And then he stopped being careful. Like, he just stopped, you know, pulling out. And I was just like, no, what are you doing? You know, like, and at that time, you know, we were broken up. So like my thought was, he's trying to get me pregnant, you know, he's trying to trap me. Thankfully, like, I didn't get pregnant. And I was just like, oh my God, like he really wants to get me pregnant now. But you know, at that time, I still kept thinking, I'm so lucky, you know, like I'm not getting pregnant. And then we got back together, we decided to move in. And then, you know, like at that part of me was like, okay, whatever, I don't care if he's not careful anymore. But another part of me was like, no, wait a minute, we just got back together, we're just about to move in together. Like, I want to get to know him a little bit more, like how it is living with him before I end up pregnant, you know. But at the same time, like I didn't stop him, you know, like I didn't get on birth control, nothing. It just whatever. And I just said, you know what, if I do end up pregnant, you know, oh well, you know, I'm about to live with him, whatever. Yeah, like that happened. We moved in and still nothing. I would still get my periods. And then by like through September to December, I gained a lot of weight. Like I started gaining so much weight. It was so crazy. Like before I moved in with him, I used to be this petite, you know, skinny girl. I used to wear size 3 in pants, shorts, whatever, extra small shirts. I used to weigh less than 120. And then like by October, like I weighed like 140-ish. I went to a size 7, you know, large, medium shirts. And, you know, everybody started noticing because obviously I was so small. And then all of a sudden, like, whoa, what happened, you know? And everybody, like, I used to work at a restaurant at that time. And all my coworkers would be like, are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? And I'd be like, no, like I'm on my period, or I just got my period, you know? And they'd be like, so like you can still get pregnant and be on your period. And I remember I took a pregnancy test when they told me that, and it came out negative. And I was just like, see, I'm not pregnant, I'm just fat, you know, like. And then I think it was either November or December that my period just stopped. It completely stopped. Like, I don't know what happened, like it just didn't come anymore. And then I started thinking, oh shit, what if I'm pregnant? So I remember taking another pregnancy test and it came out negative. And then I was just like, okay, I'm not pregnant, so why is my period late? So I was like, oh, maybe it's just late, I might get it tomorrow or in a few days, you know. And nope, nothing. So then fast forward to January of 2017, I started spotting, like pinkish, reddish. I started spotting, and then I was like, okay, my period's about to come, because that would happen sometimes. Like I would spot either in the morning, and then by the afternoon I get a full flow, or I would start spotting like at night, and then the next day my period would come. But no, nothing happened. Like I was just spotting for a couple of days, and then it just went away and no period. And I was just like, okay, that was weird. And then in February the same thing happened, but this time I started spotting like the brown stuff. Like if you're a girl, you know what I mean. But yeah, like it just started spotting like brownish, and I was just like, whoa, that's weird. And I remember telling my mom, and she was like, oh, you know, like when I got pregnant with you, that's what happened to me, that's how I found out. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like I wanted a kid, but I didn't want a kid, because part of me was like not financially ready. Like I had just gotten fired from the restaurant, and you know, part of me was just like, I'm not ready for a kid right now. Like I'm just not. And then I was struggling. Me and my man were struggling. The first few months that we moved in together, we struggled a lot. And I was just like, you know what? We're not ready for a kid. And I remember taking a pregnancy test and it came out negative, and I was so happy, I was so relieved. But then part of me was like, why is my period being weird, you know? Because like my main concern was that I used to be such a normal person, like meaning like I used to have a normal flow. So yeah, like my main concern was like, why is my period not coming? Like what was wrong, you know? Like that was my main concern. It wasn't much that, oh my god, I'm pregnant, or I want to be pregnant, you know? Like that wasn't like really on my mind. Like I said, like I wasn't ready, I wasn't financially ready, so I didn't want no kids. But at the same time, like nothing, I didn't do anything to like prevent that, you know? But low-key, I was just like, I don't want to be a mom. At that time I was like, thank god I'm not pregnant, you know? So then after that, I just didn't get my period anymore, you know? And at first I was like, you know what, maybe I'm gonna let this like go, because I've been getting my period every month for the last 10 years. You know what, a month, 2 months, whatever, you know? So I just let it go. And then I decided to go to the doctor, because like every other month I would take a pregnancy test, because, you know, I'm young, I like to go out, I like to drink, I like to smoke, I like to do stuff, you know? And I was like, you know what, like I need to take a pregnancy test just in case, you know, just to make sure I'm not pregnant, you know, because I don't want to be doing all this stuff and then me pregnant. So like I would take a pregnancy test, and they would always come out negative. So I would just be like, okay, so what's going on with my period, you know? So then on November or December of 2017, I decided to go to the doctor. I went to the doctor and I told her everything, you know. I told her, you know what, like my period stopped since last year. Like this year I just spotted a little bit, but then that was just for 2 months, and then after that it just stopped again, like I don't know. And she told me, okay, like are you stressed? And I was like, no, I don't think so. But you know, now that I think about it, I probably was, because like I said, I got fired from a job. Then I was like struggling finding a new job, and you know, I was struggling with my bills, my man was struggling with his bills. So maybe I did get a little stressed, and that's why my period just like stopped. But then again, like I think about it and I'm like, I gained a lot of weight. Like de la noche a la mañana I gained 20 pounds. Like obviously my period was gonna be like, whoa bitch, like hold up. My period still hasn't like been a regular flow. So okay, I went to the doctor and she put me on birth control. She told me that that was gonna help me regulate my period, and it did for the first 3 months that I took it. I took it from January to March of 2018. I took, if you've ever taken birth control pills, you know what I'm talking about. It's literally 4 rows or layer, no, 4 rows, and then it has 7 pills. And then on the 4th row, the last row of pills, that's when your period comes. So the first month I started taking them in January, the first Sunday of January I believe, and then I got my period. I got my period I got my period the week I was supposed to. And I remember I went to the movies, and when, you know, you sit in the movies for about an hour to 2 hours, and when I got up, oh my god, like as soon as I started walking towards the stairs, my flow just was like, whew, it was like I was peeing myself. And I was just like, oh my god. I had to like move to the side, and my man was like, what's wrong? And I was just like, it's just coming like nonstop. Like if I move, it's just nonstop. And he was like, okay. So then we came home, and as soon as I pulled down my pants, like literally like a murder scene down there. I am so sorry, but this is so graphic, but yes, there was like literally like blood everywhere. Me había manchado el pantalón, el calzón, like everything was bad. And I was just like, oh my god, like. And then I thought about it, and I was just like, maybe this happened because I haven't gotten a flow in more than a year, you know, like maybe that's why it was this heavy. So then like a couple days later, like my flow was still a little bit heavy than normal, but then it went back to like its usual flow. Then again in February I got my period, and it was a regular flow. March, same thing. But as soon as I stopped taking those pills, my period just completely stopped again. And I was just like, what happened? You know, like we were doing so good. But I didn't want to get another round, or I guess, or another 3 months of birth control, because when I was taking the birth control, like, it did make me very moody and I was always tired. I remember I would always snap at my man, like everything he did or said pissed me off. I just wanted to be in bed, and you know, I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna take these pills anymore. I don't want to be like this again. Even though it did help with my period, I didn't want to be in that mood, you know. So you know what, I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna let it go, I'm gonna let it be. So then again, from April to like October, no period, but again, I would take pregnancy tests, you know, just to make sure I wasn't pregnant. And then in October, I decided to go to a different doctor. I told her the same thing. I said I had regular flows, then all of a sudden nothing. I got on birth control, it helped for those 3 months, but then nothing again. And she asked me the same thing, are you stressed? And I was like, no, why does everybody keep asking me if I'm stressed? But I guess if you're stressed, it like unbalances your period or whatever. But I was like, I don't feel stressed. I mean, I have a job now, you know, my bills are paid on time. I don't think I'm stressed. And she was like, okay. So that doctor sent me to go get like blood work done, ultrasounds done, and everything. I remember I got like all my hormones checked with the blood or whatever, and then I went to get an ultrasound inside and outside, internal and the one that they normally do. And then I remember when we were at the ultrasound or whatever, you know, like if you've ever gotten an ultrasound done, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, on the screen, like, it's black and gray, and then they write down notes, you know. And I remember they wrote down that I had a long cervix, and I was just like, what the hell does that mean, you know? But I didn't ask the nurse or whatever. I didn't ask her. I was just like, I'm just gonna ask my doctor when I go see her. So then that was done, and then like a couple days later I get my period, and I thought it was so random. Like, at first, you know, I thought, oh my god, like, did the ultrasound trigger my period or what, you know, because it was done internally. So I was just like, that is so weird. So then I get a call from my doctor, and they tell me all my test results, that everything all my hormones came out okay, but that they had found damage to my tissue, and they had found a cyst. And I was just like, what does that mean, you know? Like, I was so scared. And I remember I googled it. Don't ever google shit, because Google is gonna tell you something that's not even it. But I googled it, and it literally told me like I was never gonna be able to have kids, that I was infertile. And then I looked up long cervix, and it said that it was gonna be more difficult for me to get pregnant, and this and that. And I was just like, I remember I started crying, and I was just like, what the fuck, like, why? Like, why me, you know? Like, at this point, I was still not ready to be a mom, and I feel like I'm still not ready. I feel like nobody's ever ready to be a mom. But, you know, after a couple years and still nothing, and then the doctors tell you, well, everything's okay, you start thinking like, okay, so if everything's coming out normal, you know, why am I not getting pregnant? You know, I've been with this man for, I don't know, that time it was 6 years, between 4 to 6 years. I've been with him 6 years, but, you know, having sexual relations, that's what I meant. After having sexual relations for 4 years, still nothing, you know. And I feel like, I'm not trying to put you females out there like that, but other females, you know, have sex once and get pregnant right away, or, you know, been with their man a month and they're pregnant already, you know. And I'm just like, what am I doing wrong, you know? Like, I've been with him 4 years and still nothing. So then, like, I remember I started crying, and I was just like, why me? Like, and I started thinking, overthinking, like, all these females are killing their kids, you know, they don't deserve to be a mom, but they still get the chance to have a kid. What about me, you know? And I was just like, okay, whatever. And I remember going back to the doctor, and she told me, oh, everything came out fine, this and that. And I was just like, what? And I told her, I was like, wait, so that doesn't mean I'm infertile? And she was like, no. She was like, I don't know why you haven't gotten pregnant, but everything came out good. And she told me about the cyst. And she was like, that doesn't make it, you know, make you infertile. It just makes it a little bit more difficult, but you should be able to have kids. And she said that it should come out on its own. And I had to go back in December to get another ultrasound. And I was just like, okay. So then I was like, all right, so if everything's fine, why am I not getting pregnant? You know, like that was just my question. Like before it was mostly my period. Like, why is my period not coming? Then my other question was like, okay, why am I not getting pregnant? When I was done with my period in October, I remember I tried getting pregnant. Like I started having sex every day, you know. And I was like, I'm not gonna buy a pregnancy test, you know. I'm just gonna wait until December when I go get my other ultrasound done. And I low-key was like hoping that when I was getting my ultrasound done, that the nurse tech or whatever would be like, oh, there's a baby in here, you know. I was really, really like hoping for that. But sadly, it didn't happen. But then again, I didn't get my period in November or December, and I was just like, you know what? Screw this. I'm not gonna worry about it no more. I feel like the more I'm thinking about my period, that's why like my period doesn't come. So then I remember telling one of my coworkers, and she told me a story that when she was younger, when she got married, because she's been married twice, the first time she got married, she didn't have any kids with her husband. And she used to think the same thing, that she probably wasn't going to be able to have kids. But then when she got remarried, current husband was like, you know what, maybe you just need a sobada. And that she went with this person to get a sobada. A sobada pretty much is just like a massage down in your lower belly. And that like in a couple months, she got pregnant. And she told me, you should do that. You should go with somebody that does sobadas, and you know, maybe that can help you. And my mom told me the same thing. Yeah, maybe that's what you need. And then my mom did help me look for a lady. I had found a lady and I made an appointment and everything. But the day that I had to go, I remember it was snowing really bad. And she doesn't live far. She lives about 30 minutes away from where I live on the highway. So that's not really far. But in the snow, and because it was really bad, the roads were really bad that day, it was probably going to take me more than 30 minutes to get there, you know. And I was just like, you know what, like this can wait, I can do this. So I was like, I'm going to reschedule. And I told her, I was like, I can't make it. And she said, oh, it's okay, like I understand. After that, like same thing happened, no period. And then I would keep like taking pregnancy tests every other month. They would always come out negative. Fast forward to July 2019, I got married. And then in August, I started spotting. And I said, okay, this is weird. Because when I started spotting, it was every day for like a whole 2 months. It was very uncomfortable because you're spotting every day, you know. And I was just like, okay, this is weird. So I called my doctor and I told her the same thing, like, hey, I've been spotting for 2 months, like it's September now. Like it was like mid-September. It was October by the time that I did my appointment. It was like the beginning of October. So then I went and I told her, I was like, yeah, my period hasn't come again, but I've been spotting since July or August. And she said, oh, that's weird. You know what? I'm just going to send you with a gyno because, you know, they know more about what's going on down there. And I said, okay. So I went to the gyno in October or November-ish. And I told him everything that happened. You know, I told him I used to be such a regular person. And then all of a sudden, nothing again. And then he was just like, okay, are you trying to conceive? And I was just like, yeah, but like my main concern is my period, you know, like, why is my period not coming? And then he was like, okay. He told me to take some pills. It was for 10 days. That was going to make my spotting go away. And then from there, he said that I had to go to get some tests done on the 3rd day. So I was going to take my period. I was going to take my pills from like the day I went. And then I took them for 10 days. And I think the last day was a Thursday. On a Monday. I got it on a Monday because on the third day I had to go get tests done. It was a Wednesday when I went to get my tests done, and then he told me to get like an infertility test done, but that was $500 and no insurance covers it. So I was like, oh my god, that's $500. I'm not really trying to spend $500. So I told my doctor, you know what, I don't want to get that test done, even though that I should have. Maybe he called me and said that all my blood work had come out okay, that all my hormones were okay and everything. And I was like, okay, so if my hormones are all okay, why am I not getting my period? You know, like that's my main concern. Once again, like once I was done with my period, I tried to get pregnant again, but again, nothing. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I am going to call this lady again. And actually, no, I had called the lady. Like when I started spotting, I had called her, but they told me that she wasn't doing that anymore. So I was just like, oh, okay. So that's when I decided to go to the doctor. So then when all this happened, it was like December-ish. I was like, I'll just go next year in January. So I remember posting a status on Facebook saying if anybody knew of somebody that did sobadas. And this girl recommended this lady. And I messaged her and she said, yeah, come over tomorrow. I can check and everything. So then I went, and she like literally presses down on your lower belly to see if your uterus is in place. And she told me that mine wasn't, that mine was a little too low, that's why I can't get pregnant, because when the sperm enters my body, and that's why it literally said on the ultrasound, it said long cervix, was because from my uterus to my cervix, it was literally very long. So that's why the sperm would never get up there. So I was just like, oh, well, the doctors never told me that. And she's told me the doctors are never going to tell you that. Like they're never going to say that. But that's what happens. And she said that my uterus was too low and to the side, like facing my ribs. It wasn't centered. And there's many reasons of why your uterus might fall. It's because either you had a really bad fall, you probably pick up a lot of heavy stuff, and sometimes even sex can cause that. And then she told me she was gonna inject me some hormones. I had to get them every other day, and there was 6 of them. So she pushed my uterus back up. She like me dio una sobada, literally, and then she gave me the hormones. And I did get my period. I believe it was January 24th when I got my period. Once again, I tried, getting pregnant, but nothing. But she told me if I didn't get pregnant in the next 5 months, to go back to her. So I was like, okay. So then now we're here, and I still haven't gotten pregnant, and I still haven't gotten a period. My last period was actually in January, the time that the lady injected the hormones. And then after that, again, I didn't get no period. So I honestly don't know what's going on. The doctors, they tell me that my hormones are okay. So I don't understand why my period just doesn't come. They don't tell me I'm infertile. So I don't know why I haven't gotten pregnant. The lady said she pushed my uterus back up, I might call her again to see what's going on. Low-key, I was hoping that when I did this video, because I've always wanted to do this video, and I wanted to do it in April because that's the Infertility Awareness Month. And I was like, maybe by April I might be pregnant, But no, sadly I'm not. Like I said, at the beginning, I didn't really try to get pregnant until maybe 2-3 years later. And then other people tell me, what if it's not even you? What if it's your man? And I'm just like, you're right. But why am I not getting periods? That's my main concern. And then I remember a doctor, the first doctor I had gone to, she told me you can still get pregnant and not get periods. But then my gyno told me you can't get pregnant if you get no periods. So I'm just like, I believe the gyno, because he knows everything about down there. And he told me that I can't get pregnant if I get no periods. So I feel like that is why I haven't gotten pregnant, because I literally get no periods. But I still don't understand. To this day, I do not understand why it just stopped. Sometimes I low-key am glad that I don't have any kids, because like right now, like there's all this pandemic shit about the virus and stuff, and I'm just like, damn, like I feel bad for all the little kids, you know, like what if they're exposed to that? And I'm just like, I'm glad I don't have any kids, you know. Every female, I feel like even males, like think that one day they're gonna become a parent, you know. And even if you don't want a kid, like I feel like people that don't want kids at all, like they're like, oh, I need to be careful, you know, because I might end up pregnant. Like nobody thinks like, oh, I'm infertile, I'm not gonna have kids, you know. Like nobody thinks that. Don't think you're any less of a woman than your neighbor with 5 children. Don't think you're less of a woman, because you're not. Not being able to have a kid doesn't make you any less of a woman. Like I don't see myself like that. Like just because I can't have kids, that doesn't make me any less of a woman. I don't feel any less of a woman, you know. Yeah, it sucks, you know, that I can't bring a child into this world or whatever, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad. Like I've lived through so many things with my man that I'm glad that I didn't have a child with me at the time, you know, because honestly, like my relationship with him wasn't always the best. We would always break up at the beginning. We literally broke up like probably like 4 or 5 times, you know. Now I think about it and I'm like, damn, like what if we had a kid back then, you know, like what would have happened, you know? Because sometimes I feel like when you have a kid, and I'm not saying this always happens, but I feel when you have a kid, like it tests your relationship. That's what I mean. It tests your relationship because, you know, I've seen so many couples that I'm like, oh, they're gonna last forever, you know, and then all of a sudden they have a kid and they're no longer together. And I feel like, what if that had happened to me, you know? Like what if, you know, we got together, I mean we had a child together, and then all of a sudden we break up and never come, you know, back together. But, you know, at the time, like we would always like find our way back. But still, like even so, like now that we live together, before I married him, we had broken up. I moved back in with my parents and I was like, what if we had had a child? Like what would have happened then, you know? I just think of all the stuff we've been through, and I'm just like, I'm glad I don't have a child, you know, to put him through all that. But then at the same time, I'm like, all right, well now we're married, we know we are very happy together, we know, we still argue here and there, but it's about over dumb shit, you know, like any other couple. And I'm just like, all right. And I've told my man too, like, you should probably go get checked just in case it's you. But he's scared that it might be him. But I low-key feel like it's me because, like I said, I have no periods. Like, well, I don't understand. Like at the beginning, like yes, I was happy, no periods, whatever, but now I'm just like, all right, it's been forever. Like I don't get periods unless they're triggered by the doctor, unless I'm taking some type of medication, you know. If not, I don't get no periods. But yeah, that is my story. I don't want to say I'm infertile. I don't want to say I'm never gonna have kids. Ever since I moved in with my man, like I don't know what happened. Like it just completely stopped, and it does suck because like I see all like my friends from high school or like my friends of like my parents' friends, you know, like they all have their family now, and I'm just like, when is it gonna be our turn, you know? Like when am I gonna have a kid? And everybody tells me like, don't stress over it, don't overthink it, stop thinking about it. And I'm just like, bitch, I don't think about it all the time. Like I don't even, like right now, like I'm only talking about it because I want to do this video. But other times I'm not constantly thinking like, I want to have a baby, I want to have a baby, I want to have a baby. Like no, I don't know, maybe this year I might pop up pregnant, I don't know. Maybe I won't. But yeah, that is my story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a little bit long. I hope you guys watched it all. But it's just that my journey has been very, very long. But yeah, if you guys like this video, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I will try to edit the rest of my videos so I can upload them in the future. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.